Welcome to listening to Paint Dry, the live stream. We're still a podcast about the art and hobby of miniature painting, and I'm Mike.
I'm Dev.
And I'm Dan. Thank you for joining us for another Thursday evening of us talking about whatever happens to be on our minds. So let's see. Um, During the Christmas break or the holiday breaks that we were all on, uh, Dev and I had a conversation a while back about 3D printers. I went to visit some really cool people at a Spray Gunner, and they had some cool printers, and they showed me some cool stuff. And the sales were still on, so I decided to take some of my hard-earned money, and I went out and I purchased myself a Bamboo Labs A1, and I received it last week. And I was excited, but we had the gigantic snowstorm, and then we had and I was traveling during that, taking kids to college, bringing kids back from college, getting back into the swing of things. So, with all the previous printers I've had in the past, I wanted to make sure I was doing it right. So, I wanted to go online and I wanted to make sure that I had it set up properly. I updated all the firmware, I had all the bits and pieces that need to work. And it just happened to be that day that Bamboo Labs sent out a blog post about updating their new firmware. And it seemed like if I wanted to find out the top 10 best attachments I should purchase or print with my new A1, I was looking for lots of those videos, and all I got was Bamboo Labs sucks because they're changing what they're doing and the third party access. So I think for a couple minutes, I think we'll talk about what this means, what it could mean from a level zero novice casual printer guy. So starting, I think, in a couple days or so, there will be a new Bamboo Labs firmware update. And what this update is causing an uproar about is that it's taking away the use of third-party printer. It's removing third-party printer access. For
What does
me,
that mean?
the, well, for me it means nothing. But um, they're blocking third third party software access. So that's like monitoring your prints, videos, um, having to use uh, their online service or something along those lines. Just it basically boils down to taking away the freedom of owning a device and being kind of sort of forced to use their proprietary products. They're going to have, they say they're going to have some workarounds. They're going to have a connection where you can use third-party devices or third-party devices, but it just seems kind of like sketchy in a way that right now it's not going to affect much in a way of a regular hobbyist,
Yeah.
but it could impact um, companies,
Yeah.
printer farms, folks that rely on this as a business for printing out 3D products and sending them out. This could have an impact on them because they'll be forced to send their STLs through a network. And I think one of the things that was really brought up was um, that this was a security patch. And I read somewhere that they said they get 30 something million. I can't be right because I just don't believe there's that many people that are printing shit. 30 million like pings or files or whatever through their servers a day.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a bit of information
Yeah.
that, that
Yeah. So I think the kind of the attacks that are happening, right, is a lot of internet connected devices that are not necessarily full blown computers still have the ability to do some processing power. And something we saw a while back in the height of crypto mining was a effort to access these devices that are connected to the internet, to then just basically use their limited processing, but use huge numbers of these devices with limited processing to do very basic things like mine crypto. So I suspect those are the kinds of attacks that they're concerned about. There have been other vulnerabilities. Internet of Things like devices tend to be generally less secure, even than Microsoft devices. And I think that's, on the one hand, it's a reasonable argument for this behavior. However, I think some of the background here is that, first of all, there are other solutions, right? You could just actually use your firmware updates to provide security strengthening measures that are not as excessive and draconian as this. The 3D printing community, especially the longer term 3D printers, are very much grounded in an open source community. A lot of the slicers and software that exists is very much focused around being open source. The idea of everybody doing their own thing and then sharing their ideas is kind of, that's how Thingiverse works. I mean, My Mini Factory and others have started putting up sort of paywalls a bit more extensively, but it's still a fairly open community. You share your ideas and your creations, and this flies in the face of that. Having said that, it's not exactly unprecedented, right? What Bamboo is setting up is fundamentally the same way that Sonos operates, for instance, with a walled garden. Everything has to be in their ecosystem. Everything has to play together because it's all their property, right? Honestly, DJI is similar in the way that it operates and restricts what devices can access their, or what softwares can access their devices. But I think it should be causing red flags for a lot of folks in the community, because what this is saying, and the print farms is a really good example, Dan, right? Bamboo is now going to be able to know everything that you're printing, right? But if you're running a print farm, for instance, maybe you are running prints on commission for somebody, right? So a lot of print farms these days, if you send them the files, they'll print it for you quite happily, right? Now, you could argue that's a legal gray area, right? Because they're not the ones that bought the files, and they do not have a commercial license for that file, right? They are printing something that has an individual license attached to it that individual has, but they're printing it on their behalf, right? Now, all Bamboo is going to see is them accessing that file that they don't have a commercial license to, or potentially any license to, right? They may not have bought it themselves at all. And I think that is where we're going to start seeing, if Bamboo starts integrating with My Mini Factory or one of these other online vendors of STL files and starts doing validation and authentication for them, this is going to get, very ugly very quickly. But already, putting up a walled garden like this is the way the internet is sadly moving, but it's also not particularly welcome for this community, I think.
Yeah, not at this point. Again, for us regular folks, it's probably not a big deal. I know that there's like some workarounds, and I know people that are much more intelligent than I will have some really clever workarounds. But I'm just going to do like I used to do and stick a USB in it and just print from there. If they want to see the walking penis that I'm going to print out and send to Mike, online, and that's fine. It's nothing special I'm doing, or a bunch of Space Marines or vice versa there. So in my case, and I think for a majority of the folks, I'm not sure, just because, I'm not really worried about the security. They're not going to take over my house. They already know everything about me because they've already hacked every freaking government agency that has my information. So, I just Google, well, don't Google my name, but Google your own name or your address, and the information's already out there, and it kind of sucks. We live in that kind of world, but at the same time, so they see what kind of shit I'm printing. I don't know if that's really pressing,
I mean,
and the frequency that I'll be printing.
yeah.
It,
I think for a single home user who has a single printer, it doesn't make a big difference. But it does still become, not just scary in the ways I mentioned, but it's also fundamentally anti-competitive, right? Because you're
mhm.
now stuck either in their ecosystem or another ecosystem, right? We all know,
Yep.
like, well, we don't all know, but we can imagine how hard it is to switch from Android to iOS. And Bamboo is basically making it the same way for 3D printers. You want to switch printer,
Exactly.
you're going to have to replace all your software, your slicers, everything's going to have to change.
Hmm.
Um,
And that was one of the things that I was thinking about. It's like, okay, like what other things do we have out there, electronic wise, that we can't, access other information? And a phone is a perfect example. You know, the Apple has it pretty locked tight where you can't go out anywhere else. I know we used to be able to do it for Android. I'm not quite sure if that is still the case or not, but I don't download a whole bunch of stuff on my phones anymore. Just a couple apps and things like that. But even just the usability, and being able to control, with a system that you're more familiar with, or if it works better with your flows, taking that out of the system is going to disrupt your operations also. Or even adding just an extra step or another authentication, it just adds to extra work, and it's just more frustration than anything.
yeah. And you're
And we,
basically driving people to make a decision, right? Do they hold on the current firmware they have? Do they avoid updating?
mhm,
In which case, they're exposing themselves to even more security vulnerabilities over time.
yeah,
Or do they go with this change and potentially expose themselves to security vulnerabilities driven by Bamboo themselves, right? If Bamboo wants to exploit this, because it's giving Bamboo a huge amount of control over systems that access the devices, which,
yeah.
you know,
And it's kind of interesting, now, people that are thinking about it. No, I still have not opened my box, so I'm still on the fence here, because I can very easily just send it back and probably get another printer. But it had, up until a couple days ago, a great reputation, of the quality of prints and the support. But now,
yeah,
there's somebody thought something, and now we have, a major falling out. And I see this a lot, not necessarily in our community, I guess in all of our communities, you know, uh, oh, I don't like the way that, the particular two-letter company did something. So we're going to take our money elsewhere. Or I don't like this video game, change the rules or something, or they change the balance of the game in a way that I don't like it.
yeah.
I'm not going to play this video game anymore. And I guess that does go out, starting to spread out a little bit more. And unfortunately, it happens to be all my hobbies. So,
I mean, we had this conversation, right? I was on the fence about getting a Bamboo printer, super excited about the
exactly.
A1. I was basically going to wait for my bonus to come through. This has made it a clear decision for me, right? Like I'm not in favor of walled gardens. I'm a strong advocate of
Hmm.
open source. I'm just not going to get a Bamboo printer. If
Yeah.
Prusa ups their game, I'll happily buy Prusa. It looks like they're not going to go down the walled garden path at the moment. Um,
Yeah. Didn't one of their people, didn't Mr. Prusa or something, send out
yeah,
a thing on X or something like that, which I think is pretty funny. That's definitely, a yeah. I don't even know the word for it. It's funny.
on the nose. It was refreshing to see that. I think we've lost some
Yeah.
of that kind of banter among companies. It was
Mm,
there a few years ago and it was enjoyable, but yeah, I mean, if it's and Prusa has long kind of staked its mark as
mhm.
being incredibly open source friendly. Will I take a slight drop in quality to be able to support that? Sure. I'm sure Prusa will continue improving over time as Bamboo will. I'll take a slight drop in quality to be able to
Mhm.
encourage that and feel less like I am simply leasing equipment, expensive
Yeah.
equipment for as long as, like, not even for a fixed period lease, right? It's until the overlords decide they want to make it unusable. Um, you
Yeah.
know, we've got enough of that in
And there
life
was
as
lots
it
of,
is.
yeah, and there were definitely lots of parallels with, cell phones again,
Mm-hmm.
with after a few years, just certain apps don't work anymore. Um, Connectivity starts going down. How well it works just starts to slow down. Just everything
Batteries.
starts to fall
Yeah.
apart. Yeah. Yeah. Just fair use of having your cell phone on 24 hours a day for 3 or 4 years. Eventually, it's just going to just wear out. So I think that's an interesting business model that has presented itself over the last couple of years. And it looks like we're kind of like stuck into it until they're able to find out a different way, or for us a way to get around it. I'm not a fan of subscription services. I'm sure most of us aren't. Some are really cool, some really suck, but some are needed, unfortunately. And to have a hobby fall into some of that trap too, for a hobbyist, it's not cool. But maybe some business people, they might need that, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
So
Pretty
I'm still
disappointing.
on the fence. Yeah, I think so. I pulled the trigger like one of the last 2 days of the sale, and if I just was a little later or wasn't thinking and I didn't have that sale going on, I wouldn't have purchased it, and I would be searching now and saying, "Oh, what is all this crap popping up all over my feeds? Let me look a little bit more," and I probably would have gone a different direction, only because I don't want the drama.
Yeah. Are
Yeah.
you still in the window to replace it, given that you haven't actually opened the box yet?
Oh yeah, I've only had it for a week. It's still sealed in the
Yeah.
box.
So
I'm probably just gonna just go ahead and just work with it. I mean, again, I'm not going to be printing anything stupid besides a bunch of squares and circles and, maybe some terrain if I get ballsy enough for it. All the walking penises, I'll be sending those to Mike. He asked me for a bunch of different colors, so I'll have to send those out to him.
got to match his outfit.
They will. They're for all of them, especially the orange one. He wants the orange one, extra long.
For the convention scene, you know.
He's gonna hand him out. He'll hand him out at ReaperCon.
Yeah. I don't even know what to say to that except
Except thanks, Dan, for printing that out for me. So that was really it.
I'm gonna throw this out there. There are
Uh-oh.
things that I sent you a long time ago and asked you to print, like well before I had a printer that you still haven't printed yet.
Yeah, I
So
know. I'll have to find those.
I'm gonna hold my breath on these walking penises and see if they actually
Okay.
do show up.
Darn it.
I
hope you still have. I hope you still have those STLs, because I can't even remember what that stuff was. Or like it'd print and then like half of it would be like super flat because it didn't stick properly or it didn't have the right freaking supports on it.
Yeah, I've had some weird ones print. I had one where it basically was flat except for the face. And so it was like this gelatin. And I kept it somewhere because I'm like, I don't know, maybe I can do something with this at some point,
Yeah.
And yeah, so yeah, I've had those have been some awesome prints. So tell me what. So this seems to me like this is a business decision on Bamboo's part to more or less not necessarily control the hobbyist, but the business side of it. Like the printer farms and those type of people, that seems to be what the focus of
It's
this type of
really
thing. And so,
weird because now, so I don't. They thought that like you do a normal like, hey, we're going to do a firmware update, and here are a couple of things that we're going to put out there, and it literally is just like a couple bullet points. It's nothing that it's nothing startling. We see them all the times when we play our video games, and we want to see what kind of updates they're going to do with the next versions. But when this dropped, people really looked deeper than I would on what the impacts are of some of these changes. And I don't believe Bamboo was anticipating the backlash that they're getting, like severe. It's every single person. There's maybe two. I take it back. There might be 2 or 3 people that say, hey, you know what? Cool your jets. Let's see how this rolls out. They're not going to make any bad decisions. But in the responses, are just as vague as the firmware updates, and
Yeah.
that is poor customer service. And there's got to be something. There's something long term going here, and it may just be that control. You know,
I think
control the access.
Yeah, I think
And
from a business perspective, this is very much okay. Our rate of sales of new printers is slowing down. There is only so much we can do to improve the quality of printers and drive out and push out a new generation and get people to buy that new generation. So, how do we move forwards from here? How do we continue growing the business? Because business has to grow, because that's the only thing that's of value in this corporate capitalistic world that we have. So, they look at Sonos, they look at DJI, and they say, okay, well, the way these guys do it is closed ecosystems, planned obsolescence, and subscription models. So let's do all of those things. Well, in order to do all of those things, we need to control our ecosystem. How do we control our ecosystem? We've got to put up walls, set up a walled garden. Let's just do that. Now, I think the piece that they possibly missed, and I think the thing that has maybe exacerbated the reaction a little bit, was the launch of the Sonos app last year. Sonos has always been a walled garden. Everybody who has ever gotten Sonos products has kind of bought them knowing that it's going to be a case of, from now on, if you want things to work together, they better be Sonos or it's just not going to happen. But with the Sonos app breaking half of the features that everybody uses for a good 6 months plus, and in the case of some features still haven't addressed, right? There were consequences. And, those consequences were more for the owners than they were for the business, because, people have spent thousands of dollars on these sound systems and they're stuck. They just get to suck it up, and they can bitch and moan all they like on Reddit, but they're just stuck with those systems, because who has another $5,000 to drop on a new sound system just because some CEO decided that they needed to hit quarterly numbers with a new app launch? And everybody, I think, looking at these bamboo printers and screaming about it, is thinking of that and seeing how easily that can happen. And this is a group that are already, as I said, kind of inclined towards a more open license, open project culture. So, yeah.
Is this going to happen to resin printers too? Or is this just going to stay, do you think, in the world of plastic printers?
It kind of already has in some ways, right? Some printers really don't play well with other slicers. I remember my Anycubic was pretty restrictive on what it can do. I think resin printers kind of came as a more box product right from the get-go, whereas because filament printers kind of predated them, and a lot of early filament printers were like, print your own printer and build your own printer from parts. It's a bit more of a kind of like Raspberry Pi hack and do your own thing kind of culture. But resin printers are doing the same thing. And if these printer manufacturers want to continue to grow, at some point they're going to go down this path, because it's the only way for them to continue growing in a way that their shareholders are going to accept.
Yeah, because we've all seen it in the last couple of years. They're churning out 2 models a year. They're having major sales on them. At some point, as a consumer, we just, we're at capacity. Hey, I got 5 of them, but I don't plan on making a business out of it, so I don't need to buy any more this cycle. And that's definitely going to be a drop. And and this it has a ripple effect with other things. But Mike, you mentioned resin printers, about how that might impact it. And Dev, you mentioned like, some just don't talk well together. I think the biggest thing that that these folks are talking about with Bamboo Lab is you just can't use any other products.
Yeah.
So we have both of us have Eligos, so we can go and we can use any of the other slicers. They might not work great, but we have a choice of using those slicers in order to make are STLs. I don't know how that works with these products. I'm sure it's an STL and it turns into some sort of product or some sort of model to be printed out, but it just, you can't use them, and that's the big thing because people have invested time and money into those. You know, some of them are a little bit better quality than the house version, where they're just used to using them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it could very easily turn that way where we can't use anybody else's slicers, and I think that would kind of suck too because you know there's other better. There's always something aftermarket that's better.
Right. It seems like it would hit something like Lychee or something. You know, Lychee would have to negotiate something because
Mm-hmm.
even so, my Frozen uses Chitu box and
Mm-hmm.
the Elegoo uses Chitu box, but they're two different versions of Chitu box. Like I can't, I have to use the old version of Chitu box for the Frozen, and then this
Mm-hmm.
Chitubox 2.0 basic for the Elegoo. They don't even create the same type of file when you slice it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One's a goo file and the other is OBJ.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think realistically, Bamboo is now big enough that they will weather this storm. But yeah, I'm no longer interested in joining that camp. We do have
Well, I'll let you
Sean.
know.
We have Sean in on the comments, who now
Uh-oh.
would like to be known as Dead Inside, apparently. So thanks for joining.
Hey,
That
Sean.
yeah. So if you're on the stream, throw something in chat. Let us know.
Yeah.
Mike,
Yeah, Dan's pretty much done right now, so we can bring up any other thing, like whatever Mike is doing over there in the
as what I
corner.
wanted to know, Mike, what are you doing with those paintbrushes? We just see the ends of paintbrushes poking up in the corner of the camera.
Yeah, I have to stare
Exactly.
at your curtains in your
Do a can dance with
window
them.
there.
Walrus. I am just finishing up the Hadrim. Is that what they're called? Hadrim?
Haradrim.
Haradrim. It is literally the last step. They are done except for dry brushing on rocks that I added to the bases. They even have all their cups. They're painted. They're that it's second to last. I will run a coat of varnish around the bases that have already been blacked just to give them one final step of protection, and then I can deliver this commission, including 60 pirates and a pirate ship, and be done with commissions for good.
Ooh,
Yeah,
So
until next week.
that's a bold statement. I was going to say. I think I've heard this before
no,
from Mike.
the only reason the Haradrim are from a long time ago. They're actually like what were Dutch gave them to me to paint, and then um I said I didn't really want to do them, but but he needed them for an army, and then stopped playing Lord of the Rings. That's when the pirates originally came into effect, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm not like doing commissions anymore. Then he made an offer I couldn't refuse. But he just bought a house and had another kid, so I know he's not going to be making that offer again for quite some time. So,
Hey, Dev, do we want to put money on this after we shut
you can go
the...
for it. Put some money on it. I'll get in on it too, because yeah, I mean,
I'm just
I
waiting
know that
for Verkos to reach out to him.
they're not. I don't have anything worthy of Urkos.
I don't know. I don't know.
The
You've
They're
had
buying
some
everything,
successes at
man.
Reaper. I mean, they
I
were
know, I
pretty
know.
damn generous at LVO, from what I've heard. There were offers going out left, right, and center at LVO. So
Yeah, I got to be able to actually put something in a contest that Verkos is at. I have actually not put anything in a contest that Verkos has been a part of.
well, you know where they will
So
be.
where?
Kubla.
Yes, and that is what's the killer is too right now with my doggo situation. I don't know what I can and can't commit to right now.
Mm.
And so that's where I'm really stuck. I know that it's Memorial Day weekend, but I mean, this issue could be 6 to 9 months. It could, originally we thought it was a one-off nose injury because you guys have met Star. He's a very large dog, and when that dog sneezes, it's an experience, and he is constantly banging his nose against things. And so that was originally what we thought, was that it was just an injury.
Yeah.
And then it started coming back a little bit in the fall, but again, it didn't look anything other than like an injury. And then Christmas night, all hell broke loose. I actually wound up missing Christmas dinner because I was with him at an emergency vet for a few hours. The whole front of my house, front outside of my house, looked like a scene from the TV show Dexter. And it took me about 4 hours a day after Christmas to actually power wash and clean that off. It was really rough. And so, but now, we took him to an oncologist and that hurt. So I guess technically we don't know whether he has nasal cancer or not, but it's $800 for the x-ray to find out whether it's in his chest or not. And then if there's nothing there, then they go to the CAT scan, which is $4,000. And then they go to the treatment, which is $10,000. Now we've gotten to the point of a tuition payment, you know what I mean,
Yep.
for college. And so it's one of those, yes, are we 100% sure it's nasal cancer? No. Are we like 98% sure? Yeah, it's only in one nose. It's only one nostril, and he's 12 years old. He is a beautiful big boy, and he's been a better dog than I could have ever imagined having. But being a lab Great Dane mix, 12 years old is old.
Yeah. No.
That too. So, but
They
again,
make it hard for us. They make us do those hard choices sometimes.
Yep.
they do.
So Sean,
Yeah, it hurts.
Sean is
ahead.
in the middle of doing finance homework, but we'll take the under on our bet that Mike is going to take another commission. So there's.
Ooh, I don't know, man. I don't know about the under. I think we might win that one, Dev.
I think we're good. I think we're good. Yeah. So have you been working on anything else at all, Mike?
Not really. This is kind of going through the motions type stuff. I can't really. I've had a hard time being creative lately. It's been a rough couple of months with losing my brother-in-law. Losing my friend Fooms and losing my brother-in-law. Then now dealing with the dog. It's been hard to tap into the creative side. But I'm happy that I can do this rote kind of. I don't want to. I think I did a pretty good job on these guys, but.
Yeah.
I'm not pushing any boundaries with them.
Yeah.
And I have a bunch of ideas. I've been sketching a lot in my notebooks and stuff when I've had time, and written some ideas down, and I've written a little bit, but otherwise not really. This is kind of the main focus has been to just try to keep painting.
Yeah.
Even though it's not artist stuff, but it's
for sure. For me, I haven't even been keeping painting. I managed to get a little bit of airbrushing done earlier this evening, very, very quickly. I can put this on. I'll try and hold it up so you guys can see it. But
oh, you started her.
So I started with a little bit of Verdaccio and then overpainting. Although I'm basically having to paint both of them alongside each other because of the amount that I am breaking these pieces. This one has now completely lost the index finger of its left hand. I've managed to break both foxes, and I've screwed up the attachment of the hand on the other girl. So I don't know what I'm doing, but I am breaking this stuff left, right, and center, and it is starting to drive me spec.
So, Mike, you did the Alice in Wonderland for me, and it had grass blades on it. I have dropped that thing 3 times. And only have lost one of the grass blades. So maybe you're a little too rough here. You might want to just
maybe
be a little bit more gentle.
Maybe. I mean,
British gentle, not American gentle.
That resin is surprisingly strong. So I don't know what the hell you're doing, Deb.
I don't know.
You're pulling to me. I break everything too. Every model that I've ever entered into a competition, I've broken or set on fire. I did set one on fire, and then Reaper bought it, but. Anyways, go ahead.
We have a sneaky Pete just entered chat.
Hey, Sneaky Pete.
Sneaky Pete has failed miserably at Dry January. I had a couple of slips, but I'm still holding strong for now. But Sneaky Pete has at least built, prepped, and printed a bunch of stuff for the new year. None of those sound like painting, but they do sound like progress of sorts. So kudos on those, and hopefully you manage to get some paint on them as well soon.
Yeah, exactly. That'll be nice. Paint. Do something, but everything that's part of the hobby, every step is progress. So,
Yep.
getting stuff printed, prepped,
It's all good.
However, that means I'm a hobby monster because the amount of stuff that I have printed and prepped and gotten ready to paint and just look at and just go, wow, someday. Oh, well, although I did do this. So, originally, and Dan is still going to this for sure, but we have a Richmond Painters Jam coming up at the end of February, and I was going to work on the Alice in Wonderland bust. And I took some time to prep it, clean it up. I do have some spots that I have to put some putty in here and there, but the print came out really nice. I made a mistake and ordered Panzer Gray spray can primer from Vallejo instead of black, and I love it. I used it on the Alice bust. I'm like, actually, this stuff is pretty damn good. And so yeah, that was a happy accident. And so I think and it's a dark gray, so it's not quite black. And I think once I break out the airbrush and do some Zenithal work on it, do some directional lighting on it, I'm probably gonna like using that better than black.
Cool.
Per se.
Sean is asking, where is that? I'm assuming he's talking about the Richmond Painters Retreat, so I'm going to go out on a limb and guess Richmond, Virginia. If it's Richmond, UK, then I might be able to attend because I think I'll be back in the UK by then, but I suspect not.
Yeah, we just don't know where in Richmond it is, so yeah.
Right, and it I had to kind of back out because of the dog situation, so my bet he's still going to be. We still have a few months left of him. Because the epinephrine shot, when he gets that's he has a pretty good week after that shot. And so now we're administering him at home, so that at least cuts the expense of having to pay the $130 just to go into the doctor's and then pay for the epinephrine shot, which actually isn't that bad.
Yep.
So
yeah, I think Sean's tired of our wisecracking. He's asking where in Richmond. I think nobody knows apparently. I am. There is a Richmond,
it's in
California.
A house.
Yeah.
It's in a house somewhere, and we don't get the address until probably 2 days beforehand or something. So it's just a matter of have all your shit ready and then go.
Yeah. So I think if you hunt around for the Richmond Figure Painters group, is it? And
that's not us.
No, it's not the Richmond. It's just a combination of people, Sean. I'll reach out to you and let you know, because that would be great if somebody wants to take my place in the house, so that way there's nobody incurs any extra costs and such. Because it is I was a last minute add to it, I guess. They are writing a Verbo, and it's some people from Baltimore, like Dave Esser Bourbon Brush and Nick, who goes by Fennec Fox on a lot of things and such. So there's quite a few people that are going. Ethan Lindquist is going to be there as well, but he's a Richmond native, and so I will hit you up. I'll send you a chat and connect you. Hey, Sean, are you a part of our Discord? If you are, then that's even easier. But I know you're in Eric's Discord, so I'll reach out to you and give you the contact for the person who is organizing all of it. So, I'm going to try to get down and hang out on Saturday and paint, but we'll see how things go.
Cool. Yeah. So the only other thing I've been doing, kind of hobby related, was I have been putting up YouTube videos again, and managed to get another one edited up last week and had that drop, I think, Saturday or Sunday, or Tuesday, sometime recently. Yeah, it was Tuesday. It was after the holiday weekend, so that was the other thing that I've managed recently. I had forgotten how painfully slow it is editing videos. it takes forever. And I'm like, okay, I did one a week for a little while. I need a break now. So, yeah. Dan, what have you been working on?
Oh my gosh. I actually started working on the truck. I
The
don't know
video
the
game
name of
truck?
it. Yes, the video game truck. So I cleaned everything off, tried to come up with my idea of what I'm going to do with it. Looking for, um, I don't want to use the included decals and stickers. I want to create my own. So I'm going online, finding examples, and I'll print those off on decals. A lot of it is not clear. It's all white plastic. So I'm going to have to buy some thin, clear plexicard stuff and make windows and stuff like that. Put some LED lights in it, make it all shiny, and then maybe in Nova 35, I might have it ready and done.
You can use whatchamacallit, blister pack plastic too, if you have any old blister packs
True.
laying around.
That is true.
Yeah,
I might. I'm sure I have something around.
Yeah, because that's what I used when I did a stained glass thing. I just use that, and then, like, because you paint over, it doesn't have to be perfectly clear, but glass varnish always makes it clear.
Yeah,
Right?
there's a lot of techniques you can do. You can also sand and then polish the plastic if it's a harder, like an acrylic plastic. That has really good results. And then, yeah, the classic like dip coat in Pledge is a great way to go for really glossy.
Doesn't Humbrol have a product too? Humbrol has a product for it too. I remember seeing either the scale. What is his name? There's like 3 scale modelers I used to watch on a regular basis. One guy was like a Pans or something. And I think he had a Humbrol product that you actually dip the glass in, and it makes it like crystalline, perfectly crystal clear.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep. Yeah, Pledge floor polish, I think, is the popular one for a lot of the old school scale modelers.
So that's what's on my mind. They've been doing a lot of cleaning of resin. I was talking about Alice. I finished her up. I have some other pieces that are resin that I've been cleaning up also. I'll probably take one to the paint jam. I might try to construct a portable airbrush booth because I think I want to use airbrush on it. So
Have
lots
you
of things that
considered
I
a
want to
cardboard
use.
box?
That and like a plastic jug or something like that. But if I'm in someone's house, I don't know how much airbrushing. It seems to be a lot more than just like a priming thing.
Yeah.
So
I'd say if you've got a decent sized cardboard box with like one of those puppy pads at the bottom of it, you should be pretty good. Maybe just put some newspaper down.
Yeah, I always forget about the puppy pads. I do have the portable spray booth that I can the travel one, so I can use that. And I have new filters in the back of it, and I have like the pipe that goes into a box usually.
Yep.
But I keep forgetting about the puppy pads.
Yep.
Those are I've heard so many good things about that.
Yeah, they work great.
So that's about it. Again, lots of things to do. Not a whole lot of time to do it, or not the motivation to do it. Not at 9:45 at night.
Always a challenge. Yeah.
That or I gotta play video games. Diablo 4 is the new season just came out, so I gotta level up my new character.
Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy.
Yeah. Are you excited about the NFC Championship game, Dan?
No, I'm not excited. I mean, so here's the thing, and it's been kind of funny. Every game that I have watched, except for that one with that miracle touchdown at the last second, every game that I have watched football had the Commanders, Skins, Washington football team have lost. So I make it a habit not to watch the games. So I won't be watching it. Might listen to it. I don't even know when it is. I don't know if it's Saturday or Sunday.
It's Sunday. They're all on. They're both on Sunday.
Oh, they're
I
both
think
on Sunday.
I think the AFC is the early game. Although that probably should be the late game.
Yeah.
It's probably that's the
And it's really important that I know what happens in the game, at least, since all of my in-laws and their family are all Eagles fans. So I'm not looking forward to that conversation.
oh,
Unless we
I got it
win,
wrong.
then because I have to deal
I
with them
got it
when the
wrong.
Phillies are playing too.
NFC. No, I'm right. Yeah, the NFC game is early, 3 p.m. on Sunday, and then the AFC Championship is Sunday, 6:30 p.m.
Ah, okay.
So that makes sense.
Yeah.
My son said he's working through the first game and not the second game, so
Okay.
which is great because he works at a restaurant in Richmond. So he made some buku bucks last week when the Commanders won.
Yeah, there's a lot of places are having the game on TVs, the bars and stuff like that. My son actually went to one. He went to the one last week.
Mhm.
Not the game itself, but he went to a bar with some friends and they watched the game there.
Nice.
And he had a blast. This is the first time that he actually watched something like in that kind of environment.
Oh,
Besides
that's
being in
awesome.
person.
Sean,
So yeah, so he said he had a lot of fun. So
nice. Sean would like to ask Dan not to watch the game, so that.
do not watch it there. I am not going to be watching. I might listen to a little bit of it, but I will not watch it.
I think just to be safe,
and
you probably shouldn't listen either.
Right.
I might. I'll check in every once in a while because most of the time I'll forget. It's Sunday. I'm trying to think if there's anything on TV. Hockey, I will watch hockey, but I'm about 50-50 on the Caps winning and losing when I watch. Usually, if it's overtime, they end up losing. So once the match, once the regulation is over, then I'll stop watching.
Football superstitions
Hey,
are
it's
hilarious.
just yeah. Same with my dice. If I play a game that I need high rolling dice, I'm rolling ones and twos, baby.
So, another hobby-related topic for us.
Uh-oh.
This may be very short-lived if the answer turns out to be no, but have either of you guys heard about Maelstrom, the new miniatures game that's been hitting a lot of YouTube channels recently? I guess they've been.
I have not, but I have noticed that there is. I think we might have talked about it last week. Just whirlwind of gaming or figure companies coming up with their own game rules.
Yeah, so this is part of that. It's Loot Studios, I think, is the one behind this one. So, well-known.
Oh my
3D
gosh!
printers.
Let me talk to you about that when you're done.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so this is interesting. They're starting with 4 factions, and the game is a combination of tabletop miniature war game with deck building. So you, I guess, build your deck in advance, which includes your characters and like items and abilities, and you combine card play with miniature movement. I'm not entirely sure of the rules, but that's what I've managed to gather so far. The box contains one of the 4 factions. It's $60, or maybe it's £60, and whatever that is in dollars, $100 or something. And it comes with cardboard standees for all the miniatures, as well as some cardboard terrain for that faction. But it also comes with the STL files for those models. So if you have a few cardboard standees for crossbowmen, so you can get your first game right away, but you also have the STL files, and you can print off as many crossbowmen as you like and paint them up, and then play with the painted ones once you've kind of got them painted up. So it's interesting. I think it's a little unfortunate that it's dropping right after Trench Crusade. As Sneaky Pete says, he's not heard of it, but everything is talking Trench Crusade at the moment.
I know they're about killing it at this point. I'm kind of like, I was like, it was
What's the
nice
deal?
when it.
They have another Kickstarter going on, right? Or is that over already?
Trench Crusade? I have no idea.
That's the red or crimson battalion or brigade or something like that. I don't know if that one started yet.
No.
I think it would have just like, I think it would have flooded my freaking feed if it was out because people would be talking about it. Because
You're right. It's coming out. It's not out yet. It goes live next week, Monday or Tuesday, 28th of January.
Okay. And it's not like you can't go out and buy the STLs from the original one. I think that might be open this week. If you weren't a backer. You only get it a couple weeks early, so I mean, it's I think you might get it a little cheaper also.
Is Maelstrom a Kickstarter too?
I do not know actually. I think it. I mean, I feel like everything that comes out these days is in Kickstarter. Let's have a look.
Sneaky Pete just asked a question. Yeah, they did do a huge Kickstarter. I bought into that Kickstarter. They did make lots of money. They have another one coming out, I think, as Mike said, like next week or something. And I think, but they're
Yeah,
really
28th.
short lived. They're not like a month long. I think they're only like 2 weeks at a time or something like that. They're really short. So I'll see. They have a couple free figs out already. I want to say. But it'd be good to see another set of rules come out. And I'm hearing lots of people are actually people are actually playing it too. So you said it was by Loot Studios?
I think so. I think it's.
I don't see anything on the Loot webpage, but
Yeah, I'm gonna.
So
have
while
to...
we're looking for this, it kind of I got one of those stupid advertisements that have been popping up about 3D printing, and Loot Studios popped up, and it was something that I was just like, oh my gosh, my kids would love this. So I had to buy another bunch of stupid STLs.
Okay, so I misremembered the name. It is from Loot Studios, but it's called Malediction, not Maelstrom. My bad.
Mel Dickstrom.
That's right. That's right. Malediction. It is, yeah, Malediction.
Is it a fantasy game or the sci-fi game?
It is fantasy. It is
Okay.
high fantasy, I would say.
Okay.
Kind of dystopic, very much channeling, grimdark vibes.
Mm-hmm.
Where to buy it is an interesting question.
So some of the ones that I purchased, like you get cards with it, and I wonder if it's the game that that these figures are supposed to play with.
Could be. It could be.
That'd be kind of. I mean, I have dinosaurs, and I see gingerbread men.
So I wonder if you just buy it through Loot Studio. I think you just buy it through the Loot Studio.
Holy crap, man! Those are huge figures.
Yeah, that's the other thing, is that they are 40 mil scale, I think, so they are a little big. Oh yeah, it's being kickstarted. Ish.
when?
Yeah, it's being kickstarted. So it is currently at 300,000 out of a goal of 60,000, and it's got 10 days left.
What's the name of it again?
Malediction by Loot Studios.
Male Dick's
How do you
Jum.
MALEDICITION. I think I may have thrown an extra I in there somewhere.
I don't see it.
Is it Maledictus?
No, it's Malediction.
Nope. That's not it. That's Monolith. That's a different company.
If you literally go to malediction.gg, it will take you to their website.
Male Diction.
Not worried about it.
I'll
find it someday.
I have to say that I did get the Arkham Horror miniatures from Loot Studios. They did a collaboration with what's the name of that publisher? Edge Studios, who published the Arkham Horror RPG, and did some miniatures to go with the first few releases of that RPG game. I played the starter set with some friends and printed out the models, or had a friend print out the models for that, and painted them up. And they were really nice sculpts, actually. Again, kind of like Malediction, a little larger scale. They were maybe not 40 mil. 40 mil seems high, but they were a little bigger than your 28 mil. Definitely true scale. But really nice. Came out really nice. Pre-supported. The prints came away super easy. No nubbins or anything really needing cleaning up. Very, very clean prints. So
I wonder if that's going to be the trend moving forward a little bit this year's smaller games but larger figures. I hear a lot of
Maybe.
people rumbling about that, so I wonder if some games will be more focused on that,
Yeah,
something bigger than 28 millimeter.
a few games have done it for a while, right? Like there's that, what was it, Arena Rex or whatever, that was like a gladiatorial combat that was, I want to say that was 54
Bigger
mil.
things.
Yeah.
They might be a little bit bigger than that.
Oh, really?
Mm,
The gladiator model I have is he's pretty beefy.
Wow.
Or not Spartan. I have a Spartan from Arena Rex, and he is beefy.
More than 2 inches tall?
I don't
I
know.
mean,
I have to go
I
dig
mean,
mine out somewhere, but
yeah. I mean,
Or 2 inches to the eyes, I should say.
sure.
I think it's hard to tell because he is in a bent position
Hmm.
with like shield and spear. I'll have to look it up for the next time. I think I know where he is. He's Zenithal primed, ready to be painted. Um, for about 4 years now. I think I bought him 4 years ago at Game Garrison when it was put in the clearance box. Um,
Yeah.
so I think I got him for like half price at a clearance. The other one, Shatterpoint, started it too because they're bigger than the Legion, Star Wars Legion miniatures too.
They are. They're still only,
Oh,
I
that's
think,
right.
35, right? Which is also about the same scale as Conquest. Conquest is about that scale.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah.
My old ass eyes appreciate the larger models. I'm just gonna say it's a lot easier to paint those. Every increase in millimeter is appreciated, is what she said. Anyways, yeah, I couldn't let that go. And here's funny enough, I texted the guy that I was painted the Lord of the Rings stuff that because it's now done. Um, and he literally responded back, "Hey, do you mind grabbing some more?" When and I wrote back, I'm taking a break from commission painting for a
Hmm.
while.
Oh
We've
man, you
in the
just blew it for
course
Sean.
in the
Sean
course
had the under.
I know, right? I was like, in the
I
course
didn't
of
take it. I said no.
in the course of this one conversation, it's gone from I'm never doing commissions again to I'm taking a break for a while. So I
And
reckon
I will let you know if I take a commission again, but as of right now, I have no plans to do it. So there. Like I said, the only reason the Pirates got done was I was made an offer that was too good. And it would take another it would take a better offer than I got on the Pirate stuff to get me to paint a commission. I want to paint my own stuff. I want to have fun painting again and being creative,
fair enough.
you know,
Yeah.
and painting, in this case, it was originally supposed to be 4 times 16, 24 miniatures, but 6 of them got canceled because I guess these ogre guys are no longer in the Lord of the Rings game. So I didn't have to paint 6 of these guys, which is lovely because the gaps on them are a bitch, and the metal lining, I don't know. People used to rave about the Lord of the Rings miniatures, but these are older ones, and the metal ones, they suck.
It was always the
The
plastic Lord of the Rings. I was actually surprised how many plastic sets Lord of the Rings had. Because I always thought of it all, like a lot of it was being metal or fine cast or
Mhm.
forge weld resin. But actually, when you look at the number of plastic sets they have, it's pretty substantial. And I think the Lord of the Rings stuff, people rave about it in part because it's true scale as well, which just
Mhm.
it seems like it's nicer just because it's kind of daintier.
Yeah, I mean, I'll throw this out. So the 12 of the 16 that I painted were plastic. The Raiders, which they do have the Raiders in plastic now, but these were the original metal. So I guess, like I said before, I had already painted the Raiders on horses. This is their on foot counterparts. I guess that's part of the game. That you can get knocked off your horse or your horse die or whatever, and the horse you came in on. And so those guys were metal. The spears and the archers were all plastic.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. And the way the Lord of the Rings horses are suck. Like they are the weirdest muscle patterns and shapes, and like if it's got a raised hoof, it's got this weird ass connection thing that's metal, and you're like, what is that?
Yeah.
I don't even like. I looked at it. I had to look online to see how people painted them. I'm like, what do people paint that? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
huh? And so, but those are, yeah, fortunately, like those are done. And I did say no to more models. So
For now.
just so
Tonight,
everybody knows.
tonight you said no.
No,
Tomorrow's
I'm
another
done. I
day.
want to paint. I don't have, like, I was thinking of it. If I go to the Richmond Old Dominion Open is the weekend before our paint jam, and that's at the Raceway, um, in Richmond City, in Virginia, in case anybody, we got some Texas people on that Richmond, Texas as well. Um, that's a show I like to bring stuff to because, the more figures on the table, the better. And I'm like, I don't have anything. I haven't really finished anything except for my vampire old man bust probably in 6 months. And that sucks. And I want to get back into painting my own stuff. And I have a lot of ideas that I want to cash in on. Plus, I feel like sometimes the commission work and it takes away from my drive to do other stuff hobby related. So, I need to get these live streams out on the podcast feed, and this is the type of stuff that takes me away from doing that, along with other general malaise and you know whatever my psychological hang up is this week. And so, that's the type of stuff that I want to get back to. I feel like commissions, like while I have them, control my life as far as hobby stuff.
Sean is asking if
And
they
so,
do classes at RVO, which I'm guessing is the Old Dominion Open that he's referencing.
no,
No,
there's
that's
not really
just
any classes.
that's IPMS. So they're like airplanes
Oh,
and
yeah.
boats and tanks and
Well, and here's what the reason why I didn't say IPMS is because technically it actually isn't IPMS. Um, it's a really weird. Dave Hoffman from the National Capital Model Soldier Society explained it to me, because theoretically, like, because what happened one year is, so the Richmond show is a few months before the Fairfax IPMS show, and so there's another one up here in Fairfax in April. And so when we judged figures at the Richmond show, if you place, you're not supposed to. That figure's done in IPMS technically, um, and then if you read the rule, like Deb kind of was like, but if you read technically through the rules descriptions, at least for the Fairfax show,
Mm,
if you made it to the podium, technically it's at an IPMS show, you technically can't put it in.
right.
But there's something about the Old Dominion Open that doesn't make it an official IPMS show. Because when I was there, I was like, I just judged these figures one, two, and three in Richmond 2 months ago. How are they here? And they were like, oh, it's not technically. Richmond is the Old Dominion Open. It is not considered an IPMS show.
Yeah.
And
I
sorry,
wonder
you
if
can hear
because
my
it's maybe yeah, I wonder if it's because it's an open and it has like those card clubs and stuff in there. I wonder if they just mashed them all together. Maybe
maybe.
maybe some
I don't know. It was one of those ones like I really don't care too much to follow up on, because I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And I haven't actually been to the Fairfax show besides like oh geez. I didn't go last year. The year before last, I ran in at noon and judged for an hour and a half and left. So I haven't been to that show in a few years, just because of the timing.
Yeah. Yeah. I
I don't
think,
think I've ever been to that one. But
yeah, there's a lot of fragmentation in the groups as to like IPMS, not IPMS, amps, not amps,
Hmm.
figure society, not figure society. They're all broadly speaking fairly similar in the kind of display painting, not so much gamers. You're not going to see that many Warhammer models in the adult categories. You may see some in the kids categories. More and more Gundam. Love me some Gundam.
Oh, you're gonna at the Richmond show, Old Dominion Open. There is a huge Gundam action
Yeah,
in
they do
Richmond.
love their
I mean,
Gundam.
they do absolutely. It's awesome. I mean, it was what 2.5 tables almost last year at
That
the
was
Richmond
fucking
show.
huge. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that was really impressive.
Nice.
And so that's awesome. Love to see. There's actually a couple of Gundam clubs that actually display there too.
Cool.
One is the VCU one, and I was like, hey, do you want to tell my son who goes to VCU? I'm like, you should join the Gundam club. And he's like, Dad, it's bad enough that I'm in the sci-fi fantasy club and the board game club. I don't need the Gundam club on my nerd resume too. And I went, fair enough. Fair enough.
You totally do, buddy. You need it all. Full sweeps. Got to get bingo on that.
Well, he was funny. It's just he's like he's like he's like I don't have enough money for food. Haha, he does, but he didn't want to spend money on Gundam stuff. So, plus he's not he would basically try to get me to do it for him, like his kill team and his Shatterpoint team, which he has and has yet to play those games. So. Which I thought he
Because you have
was
to paint
playing.
them.
Mike did the
You need to
painting.
No,
paint them.
I already painted those for him.
Oh, you did?
Like,
You painted those
yes,
too, huh? Okay.
I painted all of that for like he's got 2 different kill teams and he's got a whatchamacallit. He's got a Shatterforce team, Shatterpoint team. So and he made the joke recently. He was like, "Hey, Dad, maybe I was thinking about getting into." I don't even remember what other score. Oh, Infinity. He really likes the models for Infinity, and I said, "Well, you better learn how to paint, or find a commission painter because I'm not. Those are too small for me. I have a couple of the Oceanic ones that I got from you, Dan, that I like,
Mhm.
and I've primed. I've actually started working on, but after a while, my eyes kind of go, wait."
Have you tried just slap chopping them?
I don't know what slap chop is. I've
Oh,
never heard of it
baloney.
Okay.
except for the guy who used to bite prostitutes. I just know that one.
Oh, right. Well, fortunately for you, I've just put out a video all about how I do slap chop, so you can watch that and take those lessons. But one
Yeah,
of the
Mike.
nice things about it is it's a smaller scale, and smaller scale works really well with contrast. So it can be quite easy to
Hey,
paint that way.
you would be very impressed. I did the Raiders with contrast paints.
Oh,
And
yeah,
I did.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
You showed
actually
us. You
did.
showed us on
Yeah.
last week's show, week before.
Yeah, I'd actually done it, and it was the whatchamacallit, the disappointing army painter speed medal thing.
Mm-hmm.
Speed gold was
Yep.
lacking. Um,
Yep.
but yeah, I mean, you know what? Honestly, they're not bad. They're a great base coat. I still felt like I had to highlight
Mm-hmm.
even over and I even multi dry brushed. Like I'd use different colors and then did the white. Like I didn't use white to can we call it smack my bitch or something like that instead of slap chop?
No, that's the chop suey one.
Oh, chop suey. Okay, that's right. I'm sorry. I was thinking. I was making fun of who's the
Short
fire
stack.
starter, the wicked fire starter. I don't know.
Prodigy. The Prodigy.
There you go.
Oh,
I was trying to make fun of Prodigy.
okay.
Because that was one of their. So they actually got into a huge war of words with Chumbawamba because of the name of that song. So I think it was "Smack My Bitch Up" or something like
Yep.
that. Is a Prodigy song. But the chop suey method that I did, I still had to go back and enhance the highlights and work a little bit of the shadows. But it certainly, I would say, it took some time off. I was happy that it actually made the process uh, faster. Plus, I actually threw some of the contrast paints in the trash because all the purples are trash. They are like painting with gloss paint. Magos purple and Saish purple are like painting. They're so even mixing them. I actually mixed in. I thinned them with ultra matte varnish from AK-47, and it was still shiny.
Um,
Um,
yeah, definitely not necessarily the case. I was
okay.
airbrushing them on these, and I've brush painted them on before. But also, like, I mean, for gaming figures, you should be looking at varnishing them afterwards anyway, which will knock it down.
Mhm.
So,
I know, but it still was. It was I can't see myself using those paints for anything other than this type of stuff.
mhm.
Um, and so I just used my standard go-to of the Vallejo Nocturna purples
Mm.
that on it. So
Okay.
it didn't. It that was it wound up being fine. I thought the turquoise from GW was pretty good.
Mm.
A little bit strong. I had to thin it a little
Yeah.
bit more. After the first application, I was like, "Woo, that's strong."
Yeah.
But actually, I thought of some ideas of using that as a good shade color for a couple of projects that I have coming up, and so yeah, I mean, there's some definitely. It was nice to try new products.
Yeah. I would say a lot of the contrast paints are quite high saturation if you just use them neat out the pot. I thin almost all of them with at least a little bit of water, like 2-part paint to 1-part water, sometimes 1-to-1.
Mhm.
And you can get away with quite a lot of thinning and still have them do their thing fairly well.
Mhm.
But yeah, there are
Yeah, there's a
definitely.
few that I love too, though. Like
Yeah.
Sligor Brown, I
Hmm.
love that brown.
I
That is a
actually like the
great brown.
whole line of browns. There is every kind of brown there. There are warm browns, cold browns, dark browns, yellow browns, green browns, light browns. It's a good selection of browns, and they all work pretty well.
Yeah, Skeleton Horde was pretty good too.
Yeah.
I did feel like that actually of all of the contrast paints I used, to me that one lived up to the bill the best. I didn't have to do like that was like the out of the pot on top of Wraithbone,
It
painted it
looks like
over. It
bone.
looked really
Yeah.
it looks like bone.
Yeah.
It looks really
Agreed.
good. And I don't mind the flesh tones either for shading. They're really nice for an initial shade
Yeah.
and then working with them. So they weren't bad and they look good on gold. Like some of them look good on as a gold wash. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean it was a nice learning experience opening it up. Um, but yeah, when I break out that my airbrush is packed away, but I need to break it back out. So
Yeah.
do some work because I need to. That Alice bust is huge. It's like my whole palm of my hand. So I'm definitely gonna have to do some airbrushing work on it. She's a big girl.
Cool.
But I think that's about we're a little bit over our time. And thank you to all those who joined us today. Really appreciate Sean, Sneaky Pete. If anybody else is in the chat, I didn't see because I can't see the chat because Deb is logged into our account. So,
Yeah, I was gonna say.
but yeah, if you could like, subscribe, hit the notifications. We do this every Thursday at 9 p.m. Dev, why don't you tell them where they can find your your tutorial videos?
You can find them on YouTube. Search for Raggy Paints on YouTube. The most recent one dropped on Tuesday, I think. And I've got some more coming. I'm planning to put one out for these little grandfather's gardeners, which I am having a lot of fun cracking out the airbrush for those. So, airbrush tutorial coming. You can find Listening to Paint Dry on Blue Sky, as well as I think we're on Instagram, Mike. And
Yep.
if you
Instagram, Facebook, and X.
yeah, oh, are we on X still? Okay,
We're still on X. Yep.
cool. All right.
I'll sever the cord. I haven't posted on X in a long time. I just haven't deleted the account.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, follow us on Blue Sky. I am updating and posting at least a little on there. Although I do need more photos from you guys of works in progress for me to share. Also, check out our Patreon if you want. Check out Discord, and we will hopefully see you all next week.